Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. We're here back at the Ghost Biker Garage, and I'm your host, the Ghost Biker, and we have a fantastic show for you tonight. Just want to thank everyone that tuned in to our show, The Jailhouse Informant, which was during the 7 p.m. hour, and we had the ladies from the Ghost Hunting Housewives on, and we talked about the Poly Jail there in Union Springs, Alabama. We were continuing our series on historic jails, and I always love it when we're able to do that, whenever we're able to have another location on to highlight those. And so it was a great show. Hope you all will go and check that out. And again, thank you all so much that tuned in during that hour. Also want to thank everyone that tuned in last week for last week's show of the Ghost Biker Garage. We did have the wonderful Miss Sonia Thompson, who is the original zombie herself from Walking Dead, but she's so much more than that. She is a very dear friend and an amazing actress. So we had her on the show. We not only talked about some of the cool and interesting things that she's done, but we also talked about the different paranormal experiences and stuff that she's had. So if you missed that, definitely go tune in. We'd love to have you check that out. But just want to say hello to the folks over here in the chat room that's here with us tonight. Thank you all for not only tuning in, but for making this show interactive and tuning in every week. It's always cool to get on here and see my friends. And so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to spend that with us. So hello to Mr. Bob Burnell. Thank you for being a dear friend and for tuning in. Sonia Thompson, it's great to see you. Ronnie Anderson, they came, his team, Bedford Paranormal, came and investigated both. They did a doubleheader this past week and investigated the historic Scott County Jail as well as historic Rugby After Dark. So it was great seeing you guys and hearing about the different experiences that y'all had. Miss Susan Purcell, good evening to you. Miss Jolly Jeffers, Jolly Jeffers Goins, hope you're doing well. And Paul Perez, I need to get back with you. I saw I had a message from you, so I need to try to get back with you tonight here. We've just been super busy with the jail and with historic Rugby. So anyone that has messaged me, sometimes I'm a little bit slow the last little bit getting back with you because we've actually been working both day and night shifts. So I appreciate your patience and understanding. Mr. Daryl Paulette there with Clover Hill Village as well as Bedford Paranormal. Again, Clover Hill, that is such a great location. We highlighted it on season 6 of Ghost Biker Explorations. And, very active location. Now they have a paranormal program that you two can go and investigate there. And Daryl and Dee Dee, folks there with the Historic Society, they're just doing amazing things with Clover Hill Village. So definitely want to check that out. And then of course we've got Eric Freeman Sims there who is my guest tonight. They're manning the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. And Janet Alms there out in Arizona. So again, thank you all so much. If you have any questions for myself or my guest tonight, please put those in all caps and we'll make sure that we get to those. Just a couple programming notes. We do have, let's see here. We have tours all weekend long. We've been booked solid at the historic Scott County Jail and historic Rugby After Dark here in July. And coming up on August, we just have a few dates available. The fall is pretty open. Those are booking pretty quick, but the fall is open for paranormal investigations. We offer those private paranormal investigations Thursday through Sunday nights. And, we have those at both places. If you do investigate historic Rugby, you can. We are partnered with them, and they do provide lodging there. If you want to come and make it a full weekend, investigate both the jail and historic Rugby, you can stay in one of their haunted location or one of their haunted lodging places, and not only investigate the village on our investigation, but also investigate the homes as well that you're staying in. And so, if you are interested in booking at the jail or at Historic Rugby, you can visit our website, historyhighwayshaunts.com. And that has sort of a path. You can choose your own adventure there and either head to our Rugby website or head to the jail, or you can just go straight to the jail website, which is historicscottcojail.com. And on both of those websites, we do have links to our lantern tours, our guided ghost hunts, and our private paranormal investigations as well. So this weekend, we have tickets available for a flashlight tour that I'll be leading tomorrow night. And that is at 8:30 p.m. It's a 2-hour tour. And then over the weekend, we do have an investigation at the jail on Saturday night, but we are still running tours at Historic Rugby on both Saturday and Sunday nights. And we do still have tickets, a few tickets available to those tours as well. So go check that out. Join us on a tour. The weather's looking like it's going to be pretty good this weekend. So why not join us? And if you have any questions about anything on that, you can reach out via email. So I want to go ahead and get to tonight's guest. Eric, he has been a guest on my show before. I've also been a guest on his as well. And, you know, I consider him a good friend, and I'm very excited about his new venture. When he was on before, we did talk about his show, the Unseen Paranormal Podcast, where I'm telling you, you guys need to check out the show. If you're looking for content, you need to go and follow, which we'll be putting all the links on here. You need to go follow that because he interviews some amazing authors, investigators, location owners, people who are doing things in the field. He's got great guests on there. But tonight we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we're also going to talk about his new venture, the Night House. But we'll talk about all that when we get him on there. So if you will, please help me in welcoming my friend, Mr. Eric Freeman Sims. Hey, Eric.
Hey there. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody. I'm gonna have to hire you as my publicist.
Sure. Why not? You know, I mean, you're a busy guy, and now taking this on, I've really enjoyed watching it, following your page and watching, because I'm kind of a home improvement nut, especially
Yeah.
with fixing up my farmhouse that I live in now. But I've really enjoyed watching you guys fix up this place.
So that came about. The reason we did that was because during COVID, we did a major remodel in our own house where we live.
Yeah.
And I had people message me and say, thank y'all for putting up your remodeling pics. You kind of helped us be entertained through COVID to see what y'all were going to do and how you were doing it, you know. And so I thought when we bought this place, you know, it's a 200-year-old house. She needs a little work and a lot of work. It's a lot of upkeep for a house that old. But I thought, you know, people, plus the town is very interested in it. Hopkinsville is very interested in it. It's the oldest house in Hopkinsville and in Christian County, Kentucky. It's the oldest structure still standing in the entire county. And so the entire town, if you grew up in Hopkinsville, you're familiar with this house. It's on a main strip of road that used to be actually one of the main streets out of town from the early 1800s. And so people have grown up seeing this house, and they're all curious about it. And it at one time had a very prominent family until 2014, a very prominent family in the community. So a lot of people were familiar with the Rogers who lived there. And so a lot of people were curious about it. So the first post I put up on Hopkinsville chat, which has like 50,000 people in it from Hopkinsville, they, the first post got like 1,000 likes or something. And people were just coming out of the woodwork saying, we love that y'all are doing this, and we want to see y'all, you know, the renovations and what y'all are doing. And so it's just kind of snowballed from there to make sure that I'm constantly updating the Facebook page and the website with all the restoration and remodel stuff. So
yeah. And so so just to kind of talk a little bit so people kind of have a little orientation of where this is. So it's in Western Kentucky, and of course that whole area is just full of like Civil War type history, and because that's not far from Bowling Green, correct?
It's about an hour west of Bowling Green. Yeah. It's, if you ever heard of the Hopkinsville Goblins. You ever heard of the Hopkinsville Goblin incident? The Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins,
I don't think I have.
or Edgar Casey, the famous trance medium spiritualist.
Now
That
I
was his
have heard of
hometown.
Edgar. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. His family's name is all over the town, owning businesses and things. Um, but yeah, not about an hour from Paducah.
Okay.
It's only about 20 minutes north of Clarksville and Fort Campbell, so
Okay.
not far from the state line at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay. And so how did you come to know about the night house? Was this something that you had seen, or when traveling into the area, or how did you come to know about this particular house?
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who I do some documentary film stuff with, my buddy Austin,
Hmm.
and we were just talking on the phone one night, and I was playing around the internet while we were talking, and this Facebook page website just popped up that was old houses, 100,000 plus, something like that. And so I got to looking on there, and then I got my buddy Austin, who I'm on the phone with, looking on there, and we were looking, and we were amazed at how cheap some of these older historic houses were. And this one came across there, and it had been on the market in 2022 and didn't sell. And then they had put it back up on the market in February of this year. And this was like the middle of February, so it only been on the market for a couple weeks when I saw it online. And
Okay.
the price was not bad. I figured wow, we could get them down. So I
Hmm.
went and talked to my husband, who's the money man, and we have to make sure make these things decisions together. I kind of laid out my business plan of what I wanted to do, and I said we don't
Hmm.
have to look at this house specifically. We can look at other houses, but this one
Hmm.
seems to be a good price range. It's a massive house. It's over 5,000 square feet. It's on 2.8 acres, almost 3 acres of land in the middle of
Wow.
Hopkinsville, and it's a 200-year-old house. And so we went and looked at it. We found ourselves on the way home talking like we already owned it, what we were going to do to it, business ideas, all this other stuff. We ended up looking at a few more houses. We put an offer in, they denied it. We said, all right, well, we'll come back. We'll give them a month. If nobody else has, offered on it, they've not taken any offers, we'll make another offer.
Hmm.
So we looked at some other houses. Um, they came back from their real estate agent with a lower offer because nobody else had
Wow.
made an offer. And it was a cash sale. It had to be a cash sale
Okay.
because the state that the house was in when we bought it, you can see down here in the front, by the windows, there's a trench.
Yeah.
The owner had dug to put a French drain in, because
Oh, wow.
those lower windows right there is actually the basement, and
Okay.
there's a lot of water coming in the basement. Well, there's a 4 foot trench all the way around the house, so insurance wouldn't cover it because of that. There wasn't a handrail on the front porch, the front porch steps. There's some other things that the insurance required to have it insured. Well, if you can't get it
Mhm.
insured, then no mortgage company is going to give you a loan,
Yeah.
and it had to be a
Yeah.
cash sale. And we were lucky enough to have the cash to do it. And they actually
Mhm.
came back with an offer at the beginning of April, and we kind of went back and forth, and we got them down to actually a price that we were comfortable with, and still had money left over to put into the house to do all the things to get it insured. So now we've done all of those things. We're completely insured, liability, everything.
Yes.
That was the priority. The first month was to push to get that French drain filled in and working properly. The siding put up because part of the structure didn't have siding or anything, so it was just exposed to the elements. Get the
Mhm.
handrail up on the front steps. So yeah, we got all that done. Yeah, here's before and after of the
Yeah, I
front
just
porch.
saw that when I was looking
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that big handrail, and we still got to rehab the front porch somewhat and the handrail up on the porch, but yeah, we did
Mhm.
that big handrail going up the steps. But yeah, so we had to do those things right off the bat to get insurance. Just so if somebody did get hurt, we're covered.
Yeah.
Also, you don't want a 4 foot trench all the way around the house like a moat, and it was still taking water into the basement too. Because the guy who owned it before us, they bought it in 2014, and they actually didn't live there the last 2 years they owned it. He got a job
Oh,
with Disney in California, so they moved out there, and they would just come
okay.
back periodically to check on the house, and they kept the electricity on and stuff like that, so it didn't fall in disrepair. But they did a lot of work when they bought it in 2014. It was about falling down, and he told us it was at the
Mm.
tipping point of you either make the decision to tear it down or you're going to put all this money into it to fix it. And he decided to fix it, and so he fixed the foundation on it and did lots and lots of work to it. just
Mhm.
didn't finish some of the work. And so that's where we're at now.
Gotcha.
And it's been a big push the past 3 months. We closed at the end of April and we hit the ground running. And we've been up there a lot. I mean, it's
That
7 days a
was
week. Yeah.
yeah, that was the thing that I had noticed with, what you all were doing was that, I mean, you made the announcement and did
And did
the,
the
tour,
tour.
and
Yeah.
then, next thing you know, I'm seeing, like, you could tell when you got, like, at the end of the weekend or the end of the week that when you had been up there, that it was, like, constantly just knocking these projects out, and
Yeah.
big projects at that.
Yeah. And fortunately, my in-laws are amazing. My father-in-law has been a contractor. He's a master carpenter.
Oh,
He's been a
nice.
contractor for the past 50 years. So, and also acquiring furniture to go in the house. Unfortunately, so it's called the Knight House because the Knight family bought the house was built between 1815 and 1820, but the
Okay.
Knights bought it in 1860. There really wasn't a family. It kind of changed hands a lot between 1820s and and 1860, and then the Knight
Mhm.
family lived there from 1860 until 1940s, and so they were kind of a predominant family that lived in the house. Um, and then the Rogers family bought it at the end of the 40s and owned it until 2014. And
Okay.
and then the owners we bought it from had it for 8 years, and then we bought it. But so we decided to call it the Knight House because they were kind of the predominant family that lived there. They were huge real estate magnates. From what we can figure out, they in the mid 1800s they had tens of millions of dollars. I mean,
Oh,
that's how
wow.
wealthy they were. Yeah, they did
That's a
not.
lot back then.
Yeah, and it was not a plantation home. They
Hmm.
only farmed enough to feed themselves. They would have
Okay.
cows and pigs and things like that, but it was only to feed themselves. They owned land all over the eastern side of the country here. So from Iowa all the way over to Chicago, all in Illinois, Philadelphia. They had dealings in New Orleans, um, and the whole family was lawyers. So J.B. Knight was the father, and he was an attorney, and but he did more real estate stuff than he did court cases. And he owned a
Oh,
bunch of
okay.
land. Yeah, he owned a bunch of land in Hopkinsville and the surrounding counties, Todd County, which is next door, and then over by Leamington Lakes, Oak Grove, and Cadiz, he owned land. So this is some of the stuff that we found in the house.
Wow.
These doorknobs are from the 1860s. They're actually clay.
Oh,
They're
wow.
made out of clay, and they're from the 1860s. And I dated those because of the door plate. These
Mm.
are called Bennington knobs, and they
Mhm.
were invented in 1849 in Bennington, Vermont. And this guy perfected the process using clay to make it look like wood like that. These
Wow.
plates right here was a guy named Foster, and he was an
Okay.
architect and writer. And these were popular in the 1850s and 1860s. And
Okay.
we found quite a few of these. We're gonna put them back on the doors in the house. Um, the horseshoe is an actual real worn horseshoe. It is
Okay.
not just one of those that you find just some horseshoe. You can tell
Yeah.
there's wear like on the right side
Yeah.
where the horse wore it down on that side.
Mhm.
So that's kind of interesting to
Yeah.
find an actual worn horseshoe.
Yeah, and you need to hang those over the door hang at
Yeah,
least that, hang it over the door. Yeah, for good luck there.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, and another thing I thought was really cool about that is that you've got the documentation
Oh,
from, like binders of documentation, right? Or
there
and letters?
there are hundreds of documents in these two. They look like photo albums, and everybody when I put them online, they're like, "Take it out of the sticky," and it's not sticky. It's magnetic pages. They're not stuck down. I've actually been scanning them in the computer so I can digitize them and
Nice.
save them that way. It is amazing how preserved these things are. To be the earliest letters that we have, it's a lot of business correspondence and like selling of houses. There's receipts in there. It's just all kinds of stuff. Personal correspondence from the Knight family. The earliest letter that I have is from 1830s, and it goes all the way up until
Okay.
the let's see, the latest I've seen is 1880s, 1890s. But like J.B. Knight's father was R.B. Knight, and when he died, J.B. became the executor. So one of the books has a lot of that stuff in it, and R.B. Knight's handwritten will that's 3 pages I have, and it's crazy.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this is the only Knight family member I have an actual picture of. This is
Okay.
John. He is the second oldest kid, second oldest son. He was an attorney. His name was John B. Knight as well. They called him John Jr., but his middle name was not the same as his father, so he really went in Junior. The story with
Okay.
him is, and the reason we have pictures of him, because he, in 1871, he was an attorney. He became an attorney, and when he was 24, 25 in 1871, the Great Chicago Fire happened that we heard
Mm.
about. Nellie the cow kicked the lantern over,
Yep.
burned half of Chicago down. Well, J.B. Knight owned a 3-story tenement building in Chicago that got burned. So he sent his second oldest son up to Chicago to oversee the rebuilding of it. And he went and stayed with some cousins named the Marshalls. Well, the head of the family, the Marshall guy, the head of the family, Matthew Marshall, I believe his name was, and John here, they created their own law firm. Well, he never came back to Hopkinsville but to visit. He spent the rest of his life in Chicago and became his own real estate magnate in Chicago, and owned a bunch of land, bought and sold real estate left and right, had all kind of rental properties. He became a big socialite, and he was a bachelor until he was in his 40s. He married and
Okay.
had 2 kids and a stepson. His wife died not long after they got married, and he ended up raising all 3 of the kids, including the stepson. He died in 1929, and I actually have a newspaper article from Chicago from 1929 when he died, because he was such a prominent socialite and very well known in all the rich circles of Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Let's see. So there was a couple other pictures.
That's him when he was young. When he,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's John Jr. when he was young, when he first became an attorney.
Okay.
And that was from Michigan Avenue. That's when he first moved to. That younger picture was when he first moved to Chicago. This would have been a
Oh,
picture. This would have been a photo that hung in his law firm.
wow.
Because he was a
Very
lawyer, but he, like I
distinguished.
said, yeah, but he did more real estate than actually
Gotcha.
law. And
Gotcha.
that's kind of how the whole. So the Knights, JB and Eliza Knight, they had 7 kids. All of their sons became attorneys. Not all of them practiced law, but they all became attorneys. Their youngest daughter, Kate, she died at 17 or 18 of tuberculosis. Their daughter, Carrie, was 25. I'll tell her story in a second. She died at 25 of tuberculosis. She married John Harding.
Okay.
Okay, John Harding helped found Lipscomb College in Nashville. He's the reason we have
Oh,
Harding Pike and all the Harding
okay.
stuff in Nashville. His family is that. And if you've ever heard of the
Okay.
orphanage, you ever heard of the orphanage in Columbia, Tennessee?
Yes.
His
Yes.
son Benjamin Harding is the one that started that orphanage and ran it for 30 years. So they're a very
Huh.
prominent family. So the first 3 kids that John Harding had was from Carrie Knight, and then she died.
Okay.
He got remarried, and so yeah, they had three kids, and so there's a lot of connection to history there with John Harding, but
Yeah.
he was best friends with Carrie's brother Charlie. They went to Bethel College together and were best friends and roommates. And then when Charlie came back from college to Hopkinsville, John Harding came back with him and actually lived in the Knight house with them. And him and Carrie kind of fell in love and got married and had the 3 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's an interesting family. They all their kids survived until adulthood. Like I said, Katie was the youngest to die at 17, 18. So they didn't have any infants that I can find that passed away, or which was a very
Mhm.
common thing back then because of diseases
Yeah.
and colic and yellow fever and things. But even in like JB Knight was one of 14 kids, and
Oh,
all of
okay.
his brothers and sisters, they all lived to adulthood. So very strong
Which
genes in
is
these people apparently.
Yeah, which I mean that is not the most common, especially in
Yeah,
that point in time. Big families were big, but a lot of the time they had, a lot of death in the family.
yeah.
Now is the house on the historic registry?
It is on the National Historic Registry. It was put on there in 1979.
Oh,
The federal government, the Office of the Interior, Department of the Interior, went through and did kind of a sweeping thing to put a lot of places on the National Register, and the Knight
mhm.
House is one of them. It's really just a badge of honor. It doesn't mean anything to
Yeah.
us. The house has nobody's ever taken any government money or grants for the house,
Yeah.
so we're not beholden to their rules. If we were to take government
Okay.
grants to help fix the house up, then we'd be a little more beholden to the rules. And also, you pretty much have to be a nonprofit, a
Hmm.
501c3 or not for profit,
Yeah.
to get any money to do that anyway. And then
Yeah.
we're not going to do that, because if we were to do that, then we don't own the house anymore. The nonprofit does, and yeah, not going through all that.
Hmm.
So
And then you've got board members
yeah,
and all of that stuff.
and
That's why we went for profit.
we see what Waverly Hills went through.
Yeah. Well, when Christy and I formed our company, which is a little different anyways because the building is actually owned by the town,
Yeah,
we formed it as a for-profit company because it if we had gone the not-for-profit route, we wouldn't have been able to do all the stuff that we're doing. Yeah, we could have gotten some different grants and stuff, but because it's owned by the town, um, they are able to,
yeah,
they got the tourism grant and all that they were able to use to originally fix it up. So, it's you're right. Waverly went through some crazy nonsense
yeah,
because of being a nonprofit.
yeah. And luckily, Waverly, they still own the building. The Mattingly's
Yeah,
do. They
yeah,
just they have like a 99-year lease with the board for $1 a year, whatever it is.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the board can still say what happens to the building and all that stuff. So we thought about that, and then I was like, no, I don't want to even go there.
That was exactly where we were with that. We're
Yeah,
like, mm-mm, it's just the two of us. We've got 50-50 in the
yeah,
company, and so, yeah, it just worked out better that way. Um, Now let's see. I've been kinda showcasing a little bit of the photos there from the Facebook page, but, pull up the website here. So you all, what are your intentions here with the Night House as far as, you know, um it's not just somewhere you all would be
yeah,
living.
yeah.
You've got a lot of plans for this.
Yeah, so eventually we want it to become an event center, kind of for weddings and things like that. Um, we are going to open it up to, yes, that's right. I'm getting to that, Bob. We're going to open it up for paranormal investigations. The house is over 5,000 square feet. It's on 3 acres. Like I said, it's 200 years old. It's the oldest structure in Christian County and in Hopkinsville. Um, we have experienced so many things just from day one. The first day we got keys in hand on April 24th, we went over to the house because we'd only toured it, right? We'd never actually
Yeah.
got to explore. And now that we owned it, we went to explore and went with my in-laws and my husband's aunt. And I went into the bathroom to do my business, and somebody
Mhm.
knocked on the door. And I said, "Hold on, I'll be out in a minute." And not thinking anything paranormal. And I came out, and they were on the other side of the house. It wasn't one of them. I mean, within 10 seconds, I opened the door. There's nobody there. We've heard disembodied voices. Memorial Day, we were putting together some beds in the master bedroom, and up in the parlor, which is up at one flight of like 8 stairs. We heard a woman's voice say a full sentence, and it echoed. The parlor has a little bit because the ceilings are 12 foot tall, so
Yeah.
no matter what you hang on the walls, you still get echo. And you got wood floors, and it's all plaster, and the walls are 3 foot thick brick, so you got a
Yeah.
good echo no matter what you do. And it echoed. We couldn't make out what she said, but she said 5 or 6 words. Um,
Wow.
and then we've caught some video stuff which you have to show that I sent you, and
Mhm.
some noises when we weren't there. Even my in-laws have heard like people having a conversation in another room, like a man and a woman. And my father-in-law said he could hear that it was a man and a woman, but couldn't hear what they were saying. But he knew it wasn't any of us. So, because there's nobody
Wow.
else in the other room. I've heard footsteps, sounds of like furniture moving. I've even seen stuff at night out on the grounds around one of the sheds. I saw something I've never seen before. I mean, I've been an investigator for over 20 years, so I've seen lots of stuff
Mhm.
with shadow people and things like that. But I was sitting out on where those big columns are, sitting on the porch right there, and it was dark out there, and I was just looking out in the darkness, and it was a nice night, and I see what looks like a about this tall. It looked like I guess a lantern flame. It
Okay.
was the flame was too big to be a candle, but it looked like a lantern flame. It came out from behind this tree, floated across about 20 feet in my field of view, and then just disappeared. And I was like,
Huh.
what? Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. And at first, I was trying to my brain was trying to rationalize that it was just lightning bugs. This is lightning
Mhm.
bug season, and this just happened a couple weeks ago. And
Yeah.
but no, I kept watching, and I'm like, that's too big to be a lightning bug. And plus, it was like yellow orange, like a flame.
Yeah.
But it,
Yeah.
but I was about probably 75 feet from it because it was back more in the tree line, where some of the
Okay.
outbuildings, where we have still some outbuildings, and where some of the older outbuildings would have been. And so that's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. I've never seen a phantom flame before like that, just floating
Did
in
it
midair.
did it move like somebody walking?
Yeah, and it was about like if a person was carrying it like up here so they could
Yeah.
see, like a lantern or
Okay.
something, and maybe where it would have been lighting up their face and lighting up their, in front of their eyes or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've never seen that. It was very, very interesting.
That's really cool. Bob
Yeah,
says, he's heard of fairy lights that's said to lure you into the woods. Is there any
yeah.
kind of, reputation or lure that, could be related to that up in that area?
No, just the Hopkinsville goblins, just the little green men that came out of a flying saucer back in I think it was the 30s or 40s, and that wasn't anywhere close to my house in Hopkinsville.
Gotcha. Good question, Bob. Yeah, so I'm going to queue up some of these. So if you want to set up the first one that I'm going to play, is on from your security camera there, and
Yeah,
it appears to be it's got the couch in it there with the
yeah, yeah.
stairs.
So that is up in the guest suite, and that's actually the fifth level of the house. The house has 6 levels. It goes from an underground cellar up to the basement, a full basement. That's 2 rooms, and then you go up to the ground floor where you come in with the big columns, the side portico there, and then you go
Okay.
up to another floor where the parlor is. That's the living room, the former parlor, and that's where the front porch actually comes into the house. Go up another set of stairs. There's a guest suite with like a living room. This is what you're going to see, this couch in this like living room area, and then on the right hand side you'll see a staircase that goes up to the actual attic. And the attic is
Okay.
finished, and it runs the whole length of the house, but only half the house, because
Okay.
the ceilings in the guest suite are like 10 foot tall, so they go all
Uh-huh.
the way up to the roof. So the attic
Gotcha.
runs the full length of the house, was only half the house, and so the attic is actually the 6th level of the house. So this is on the 5th level, and 2 flights up from ground level. And this is just a little sitting area, living room area. The Rogers family, when they owned it back in the 60s, 70s, they actually rented this out as a
Hmm.
little apartment area, a little efficiency apartment.
Okay.
But
Oh,
I have the camera set up for motion and sound detection, and this is about 5:30 in the evening, and we were not there. I got alerted on my phone at home and saw what you're going to see on this, and I edited it so it replays.
okay, perfect. So we'll queue that up.
It's hard to miss this.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom left corner, it is almost like, I don't know, like a dress or something flowing behind her, like feet.
Yeah.
Like it's down on the floor in front of
It's
the dresser at the very
wow.
end there.
It's almost
Yeah.
flowing.
Yeah. And there's nothing up there that would do that. The house is not dusty, dirty like that.
Yeah.
There's no windows open, nothing like that. There's no humidifier. If anything, we've had a dehumidifier in the basement
I'm
because,
gonna pull that up to full screen there.
but yeah, my jaw hit the floor when I saw this at
Now did
5:30 in the
you
evening. This is daylight.
now did you get a notification,
Yeah,
of
on my
this?
phone. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And the weird thing is, I didn't put it in the video because the video would be way too long. But
Yeah.
right before it happens, about a minute before it happens, the camera's in color mode because it's daylight, and the cameras are
Mm.
set to go to night vision automatically when it gets dark.
Yep.
And that camera turned itself to night vision, even though it's in the middle of the day. Turned itself to
Mhm.
night vision. The wispy thing comes through, and about a minute later, it turns itself back to color vision. So I did the paranormal do that? The supernatural do that? Or like, why did it? I found that was weird that it.
That is strange.
Yeah, and those cameras are pretty good about. I mean, that's a 5:30. I mean, it's on a summer day. That happened
Yeah.
back in May. So I mean, 5:30 is still pretty light out in May, end of May.
Mhm.
So the date is on there. I forget what the date was. The date's at the top of the stamp. But yeah, I was like, that's the first piece of evidence I capture on camera in this house. Are you kidding me? But we go in and talk to them. We say hi to them every morning when we go in there. We tell them bye at night when we leave. And even when we go to lunch, we're like, hey, we'll be back, going to lunch. And so I think they just, they're starting to get comfortable with us because also
Mhm.
I don't think anybody's ever, people have always been afraid of them. Is what the story I've heard. Apparently the previous owner's wife had a lot of experiences in the house
Mhm.
that she told the neighbors about. And
Okay.
I mean, like on a regular basis, she was having experiences, and but it scared her. And so now maybe it's that there's some intelligence there, is what it seems like. There's some intelligence there that they're seeing us come in, and they're like, oh, they want us to talk to them. Like they're not scared. They're not going to run
Uh-huh.
out. And so I was just like, man, that's a crazy first capture. A
No,
demon coming through in the
absolutely.
house.
And I mean, and that's kind of one of my theories about with the reason activity is active sometimes, but not all the time. Especially, when I was investigating the it was the old Fentress County Jail. The stories you would commonly hear from the guys that worked in there was that, oh yeah, this is active, but I don't go up there during the
Yeah,
day, or I won't go up there. And so I feel like if a spirit is doing something, whether it be residual or intelligent, if it's doing something and it's causing a person to intentionally not go to that area, to kind of
yeah,
isolate that area, maybe it's not going to be as active, at
right,
other times because it's driving people away. But when you have someone that's coming in actively talking to them, then they know whenever you're seeking them out and looking for
yeah,
them, that tends to sometimes greater things tend to happen in that instance. And sometimes it might take, if there's a history of, I guess, avoidance, it might take a little while for things to happen, or for spirits to want to interact with you. So I can really see that when you say that if they were, scared,
yeah.
of the activity, and now they probably see these guys coming in that are like, "Hey, we wanna talk to you." So
Right.
yeah, it's just like letting the floodgates out there.
Well, and everybody that's come in the house has said, and my in-laws aren't into the paranormal whatsoever, um, but they have said, and my dad, the first time he ever went up there, he told us on the way home without us any prompting or anything. On the way home, he was like, "I have never walked into a place that was so welcoming feeling, and not." He's like, "You just feel like you're at home there." And I'm like, "That's exactly why we bought the place, because we just feel like we're at home."
Yeah.
And nobody who has come up there, friends and family, have had any problem walking around by themselves, going into the basement, going into the attic. You can kind of feel like maybe they're on the periphery watching you, but
Mhm.
they're not giving you that creepy feeling.
Yeah.
The attic feels a bit heavier than the rest of the
Mhm.
house.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I spent the night up there and everything. And I
Mhm.
got woken up at 4 in the morning by what sounded like a door slamming. And this will
Mm.
play into the next clip that I sent you of the sounds
Okay.
in the master bedroom. Um, we were standing there investigating a little bit, me and my buddy Austin, and he's in the bedroom next door to me. And I was sound asleep, and we didn't get to sleep until probably 2:30, 3 o'clock. And this is about 4:30 in the morning. And door slammed, and I woke up because it was so loud. And there's a door that goes from the master bedroom into the modern bathroom right there. And I thought maybe he had gotten up and accidentally slammed the door, because they're old.
Mhm.
I mean, they're old solid wood doors.
Yeah.
And I thought, and then I look around, and then I hear what sounds like somebody moving furniture in the room. And I've slept in home locations before. I've spent probably 10 full weekends at Thomas' house.
Mhm.
I'm just like, leave me alone. You had your chance. We investigated for like 6 hours. Now you want to come in here and bug me while I'm trying? No, no, go away. Leave me alone. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? But yeah, so I got woken up with that, with the door slamming. And that next clip the other clip
Mhm.
that I sent you, that was when nobody's there. And
Okay.
the camera, I'll set it up. So you're looking at, this is the master bedroom that has a canopy bed, a huge canopy bed in it. And the camera is on the mantle. of the fire
Okay.
pits. The only thing that is, there's nothing behind the camera. The camera's up against the wall on the mantle. Now, to the if you're looking at the camera to the right, there's a walk-in closet that was added onto the house, but there's nothing in the walk-in closet. There's nothing in there.
Okay.
There's no critters in there. There's nothing. There's nothing in there. We're probably going to use it for storage, but we didn't put anything in there yet. And nothing was moved around in the room.
Okay.
But it sounds like somebody's moving a refrigerator or something and then walking away. It's very loud. You don't have to turn the sound up. You will hear it. And it sounds like it's right in the microphone of the camera.
Okay.
And I got an alert on my phone of a detection of sound.
Okay.
And this is at 12:30 at night. And this just happened a couple weeks ago.
Okay. So we will play that now. Oops. Let me...
So that was just on July 1st at 12:30 at night. And there's nobody in the house. We had been there earlier that day. But the funny thing is, and this doesn't always happen on command, but this particular day, I said when we left, if you're happy with what we're doing in the house, do something with one of the cameras. And then we get this. And that is similar, other than what woke me was a door slamming sound, really loud door slamming. Those are the kind of noises that I heard. And then we were there the weekend before that. We had stayed up there. I stayed up there with some investigator friends. We investigated for a little while. And one of them slept up in the parlor on a mattress. And she said she woke up to sounds like that. It sounded like somebody's moving furniture around upstairs. Okay. Yeah. And but the crazy thing is, I got another video that I didn't send you that was on April 30th, the week after we got the house, that sounds like somebody fell down the stairs.
Wow.
It's really loud, and it's off that same camera that's in that bedroom, but it sounds like it's coming from, that's on the ground level, and it sounds like it's coming from out in the foyer, and it seriously sounds like somebody fell down the damn stairs. Like, it's loud, tumbling sound. So yeah, they've been really active. Yeah.
Do you think that, do you think it's more residual, or do you think that what you're capturing on the camera, or do you think that it's intelligent? Just happening,
Yeah. I think the noises, because they've happened more than anything, those noises like moving furniture type stuff, I think that's probably more residual. I think the mist is I think that's something intelligent, just because that's the only time it's happened. And I think some of the footsteps and things like that I hear upstairs are residual. Now, this house is 200 years old. It's not settling anymore. It does not pop and creak like you think of an old house, because this house is so old. It's also 3-foot thick brick walls. There's not much settling you can do. And so you can sit in there and the house is completely silent. And it has the original wood floors in most of the house, the original shiplap. And those floors have already settled. So, and even the newest floors in the house are 1/2-inch thick tongue and groove. And those were put in the 40s and 50s. So they've been there for, a good 70 years for them to settle. So you sit in this house. I've sat in the dining room by myself when I've gone there by myself and ate lunch. And there, you can hear crickets. And so I know a lot of people, when I'm explaining that, because you hear a lot of footsteps, but these are actually kind of like boots or something on the floor upstairs or in the parlor. And the house doesn't, Now, when you walk through, you'll get some pops and creaks. Yeah. But the house just doesn't pop and creak all the time. Even at night, when I've been there at night, so at night, you don't hear any popping and creaking. Like I said, the house is 200 years old. It's settled as much as it's going to settle. So you don't get those kind of errant noises that you get at other places. I've had people message me. I had a lady message me when I put that last video up of the sounds.
Mhm.
I don't remember if she messaged me or she commented. She made a comment on the video, but she asked, "Have you heard the piano play by itself yet?" And I
I
said,
think I saw that
"No,
comment.
no, not yet, but I'm hoping to catch it." She said her friend, I guess she was friends with the Rogers, and they or her friend lived there. It may have been the last lady that lived there, had heard it, and so I'm like, I hope to catch it on camera. That would be awesome.
Now is any of the original furniture still in there, like the original
There,
piano or anything like that?
there is from the Rogers family, but not from the
Okay.
Knight family.
Okay.
So what happened with the Knight family? The last surviving member, Thomas, he was the youngest son and the youngest kid. Period. That lived because Katie was the youngest, and she, like I said, she died of tuberculosis.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Thomas was an attorney, and he was the youngest, and he died in 1941. And
Okay.
when he died, Carrie, the daughter that died at 25, her son Leon Knight Harding was the oldest grandkid, and
Okay.
he wanted the house. So, but then he died in 1942 or 43. So not long after he inherited, and from what I understand, he was planning on moving to Hopkinsville because he lived. I think he lived down towards Columbia. He lived in
Okay.
Middle Tennessee, like southern Middle Tennessee, but he planned on moving to Hopkinsville up to the house. But he ended up dying not long after he inherited. So they ended up having a huge auction, estate sale, an auction, and people came apparently from hundreds of miles around, is what the historians told me. And they bought every stick of furniture and everything the Knights owned out of that house. There's one piece of known furniture that belonged to the Knights, and it's at the
Mhm.
Historical Society, the Christian County Historical Society in Hopkinsville. I've seen it. It's a washstand with a marble top. And a
Okay.
lady from Vermont, a couple of years ago, contacted the Historical Society and said that she had traced her roots back to the Knights who lived in Hopkinsville in that
Oh,
house.
wow.
And she
Okay.
said, I understand that there's not any pieces of furniture. She said, I have an original piece of furniture from the Knight family if you want it. And she
Wow.
donated it to them just for the cost of them paying to have it shipped.
That's
And so,
fantastic.
yeah,
Now, is there a lot of descendants left, of the Knight family itself?
it's confusing in Hopkinsville because there's two sets of Knights with the same
Okay.
spelling, with the Knight. So you have
Yeah.
the Knight family who lived in my house, and then you have this other Knight family who's like prominent attorneys and judges and things. But I haven't found any connection between the two families. There may be one way on back. Like the current mayor is his name is
Mhm.
Knight Jr. He's a junior, but his last name is Knight. And there's been
Oh, okay.
various city council members who were Knights as well, but it's not the same family. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, the only so John Jr. had three kids, like I said, but they Chicago, right?
Mhm.
Robert Knight, the oldest kid and the oldest son, he moved, I think around the Bowling Green area, out that way, Bowling
Okay.
Green, Louisville, somewhere in there in the middle of Kentucky. He had kids, but he lived out there. Um, Carrie had the three kids, and like I said, Leon was the oldest that was going to take the house. I don't know what happened to the other two. I haven't got that far. I don't
Mhm.
know if they were. I don't know if they were deceased whenever the house came up, for
Okay.
them to inherit. Um, Now Ida, Thomas, the youngest son, never had any kids. Ida never had any kids, and Charlie never had any kids. Charlie was never married, and Ida was never married, and so they were the last three to live in the house. So Charlie died in 1928, 29. Ida died in 1938, and then Thomas died in 1941. And so they were the last three. And so
Okay.
yeah, and so they didn't have any kids,
Okay.
which
And
is
I'm just kinda
very odd.
showing yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm just as we're talking, I'm just kinda showing, the
yeah,
video that's got the binder or the books of all
yeah.
the letters and information you found.
I
And
don't
you're
have the
right,
books with
that
me.
is really odd.
I don't have the books with me, but I do have some copies of that I've been printing out of some of the stuff. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, this right here is a contract from a contractor to build the front porch for JB Knight. It cost $110 to build that front porch, and it included all the materials. So,
Wow. I wish that
uh,
was
yeah,
current.
this right here is a copy of the deed
See
when the
here.
Knights bought the house in the 1860s. In 1860 from Waddell's. Um,
Wow.
yeah, And this actually, I don't have a physical copy of this other than this printed out one, but it's at
Hmm.
the courthouse.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, the directions are crazy. So the house originally set on 300 acres when they bought it in 1860. Um, and like I
Okay.
said, I've been digitizing some of this. I'm printing it out on really thick paper that's almost like vellum,
Hmm.
to make it kind of look. Because I'm gonna frame a lot of it and put it around the house. But there's receipts in there and
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. Yeah, the house originally set on 300 acres when they bought it in 1860, and they originally lived in when they started having kids. They lived in Elkton, Kentucky, which is not far from Hopkinsville, towards kind of Russellville, towards Bowling Green, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, all receipts. There's some original envelopes in there that still have the wax seals on them. Some of them are postmarked from Philadelphia, New Orleans, kind of all over the country, Nashville. Um, but a lot of it was his dealings with JB Knight's dealings with property and things. There's
Okay.
ledgers in there. Um, so every dollar that they dealt with is equivalent to $40 of ours. And that's how
Okay.
we've come up with the figure that they had tens of millions of dollars back then, which is almost unheard
Gotcha.
of. That's insane
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
had that much money. I'm sorry, I just saw the police robe on my house. They never come in my neighborhood. It's a dead end neighborhood. Um, yeah, that's weird. The police there. But anyway, um,
Now, do you have any documentation of any deaths other than just, I mean, natural deaths that happened there?
um, they all died in the house. All the knights, as far as I
Okay.
know, died in the house. Um, don't have any salacious stuff like murders or anything that I've
Yeah.
seen so far. Now they did use the basement, and I know a lot of places claim this, but this is the truth. They did use the basement for Confederate soldiers as a
Mhm.
hospital during the Civil War. Hopkinsville was went back and forth between Union and Confederacy about half a dozen times, and it wasn't wounded Confederate soldiers. 300 Confederate soldiers died in Hopkinsville of
Okay.
a plague called the black pox pneumonia. And doctors today still don't know what that was. They don't know what virus caused it or what, but it
Mm.
caused these black. They called it black pox pneumonia because it caused these big blisters to come up on their skin that turned black, and
Mm.
they had pneumonia. And the pneumonia is kind of what killed them, I guess, with the lung stuff. But but the night house is one of the things that was used as a hospital. The basement was, and
Okay.
they actually have a mass grave at one of the cemeteries where all those Confederate soldiers are buried. Because the Confederacy didn't really have money to bury their dead, even the
Yeah.
wounded, even the ones that died, by getting shot or whatever. And
Mhm.
so they just buried them in a mass grave. A few years ago, there were some people that came from because I think it was like the main ones that died was like a Texas regiment, like a Louisiana regiment, and that some guys came up and actually put some markers, like state markers
Oh,
for those
nice.
actual, because they didn't know who the guys were, but they knew what regiments and what that type of stuff they were from. So they put up some
Mhm.
state markers in the cemetery to mark where the mass grave is. But about 300 soldiers died.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, are any of the knights buried there in one of the local cemeteries? Have you been able to go and trace some of that?
Yeah, there's six of them. So JB, his wife Eliza, Carrie, Katie, Robert, the oldest son, and one other is buried at the Riverside Cemetery. And people, the question I've got a lot is why didn't they have a family cemetery? Well,
Yeah.
they, even though they owned 300 acres, they were still in town. So like the where the
Oh, okay.
house is and where the edge of that property was, they were still in town. And because they were such a prominent family, they're big in the church as well.
Mhm.
They were buried properly because they were rich. They were properly
Yeah.
buried in the city cemetery with all the other rich people, with all the
Gotcha.
other prominent people. Yeah. And so if they would have been out in the country a bit more, which you don't have to go very
Mhm.
far from where the house is to get out like Amish country and all the farmland stuff,
Mhm.
they probably would have had a family cemetery. But
That
because
makes sense.
they were only maybe 2 miles, from the actual cemetery. So it didn't make sense for them to use their own land.
Yeah.
Also with him willing dealing land, he probably didn't want to permanently put his family on a piece of land that he may sell. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
a good point.
yeah, yeah.
Good point. Now, Paul Perez says, when investigating the house, does your team work with the SLS or XLS? Or are there, let's see, any anomaly stick figures like standing or sitting on the chair or any of the furniture?
So I have not gotten to play with the XLS yet. The SLS, I'm not a fan of. I think it has too many false positives. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it'll take and make a lamp. It'll put a stick figure on a lamp,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to prove that unless you have other equipment that's going off at the same time in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
To me, and this is just my opinion, you can use whatever equipment you want, but to me, it's just hard for me to prove that that's actual paranormal activity. That's actually a spirit when that stick figure pops up, because it's made to map out humanoid shapes. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying it's not. There may be instances where it is. I just think there's
Yeah.
going to be false positives with it. Now, the XLS is basically LiDAR, and that's a different story when you're using the LiDAR without the stick figures. Just
Mm-hmm.
let it map the room, and it puts out millions of laser points, and then it measures the light reflecting back. And so if you get any kind of anomaly on that, now I've seen some incredible evidence with that from my buddy John Curley
Mm-hmm.
up in Pennsylvania. I think you met John from Harrisburg area paranormal.
I did. Yeah.
Gettysburg. He's got
Mm-hmm.
some awesome video from the XLS of things just appearing in the middle of the room and
Wow.
moving around. And now that's impossible on with LiDAR,
Yeah.
because it's using all them laser points. But yeah, I'm not big on the SLS. I don't own one. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to investigating. I'm very much EVP. I like to do experiments and use different things. I like the spirit box. I like the S's method.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I've gotten really good evidence with those things, especially really good conversations back and forth where you're getting direct answers and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little more solid evidence like that. I
Mm-hmm.
guess kind of more old school than the flashy blinky lights like on TV. And I
Gotcha.
think like even with I'm not big on just went on my head. My brain does not want to work. Good old ADD. With like cat toys and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have those things and multiple pieces of evidence, you get
Yeah.
the cat toy goes off and you get EVP at the same time. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I think that you got evidence there, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm just not a big gadget person, I guess.
Yeah. Well, good question, Paul.
Mm.
Some of the equipment or excuse me, some of the furniture and items that you guys have put in the home. Now, do you think that or I guess this is kind of a question of attachment or whatever, but do you think that any activity could come from some of the furniture if you're getting them from, antique stores or anything of that nature?
We do have some true antiques. I didn't want to go with a lot of antiques because I don't want the house to be a museum.
Hmm.
I don't enjoy locations like that where you have to sit on the floor. You can't touch the furniture.
Yeah.
You can't go in this room because it's roped off. Yeah, some of those
Hmm.
places are cool because of the history behind them, but
Hmm.
I didn't want our house to be like that. I don't want it to be a museum. I want you to
Yeah.
be able to sit on the old couches and all that stuff. And we have some really old ones. There's a really big red velvet couch that's from the mid 1800s,
Mm.
mid to late 1800s for sure. It survived because of the way it's built. It's also not comfortable at all. It's like sitting on concrete because it's full of horsehair and the springs
Yeah.
aren't very springy. So we do have some stuff that could. I don't know how much I believe in haunted objects.
Yeah.
I guess I could believe in that. I'm kind of on the fence, I guess.
Hmm.
I've talked to some people on my show about it, and just kind of on the fence. It's not anything I've ever seen that ever
Hmm.
been proven to me is a thing.
Hmm.
Maybe the couch that I bought from Goodwill that's up in the parlor. I don't know. We've kind of sourced things from different places. We've
Yeah.
had friends give us a lot of stuff. We had strangers who donated stuff because they just had it sitting around. I
Hmm.
bought stuff from various places, but I guess it could be a possibility.
Yeah.
So far, I think the people I think there's a man and a woman who are kind of predominantly the intelligent ones at the house. Just from
Okay.
the things that we've seen and heard, and um, all of that. They've with the conversations that we heard between a man and a woman and things like that, and then the woman's voice and yeah, that type of stuff. I do think there's lots of residual there too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it would be hard to prove that it's connected to a piece of furniture. I mean, you know what I'm saying, like an old lamp or couch or chair or something. I guess too. But
Yeah.
it could be possible. I don't know.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
Now, so if folks want to, well, I guess what's the next step if folks are interested in doing a paranormal investigation or, kind of following along with what's going on, opening up as an event venue. I
Yeah.
guess what's the next step?
So we are working on getting the office ready, which was the summer kitchen. So most of these old houses had summer kitchens that were completely detached buildings,
Hmm.
and they built a wing onto this house that connects the summer kitchen. And the reason they call it summer kitchen because that's where they cooked in the summer,
Hmm.
to keep from heating the house up because they didn't have air conditioning and things, and they had open windows. And also, it was drier in the summer, so if the summer kitchen caught on fire, it didn't burn the whole house down too.
Yeah.
In our basement, we still have the giant hearth where they cooked out in the winter, where they would have the swinging pots and all that. It's a huge hearth. It's really cool. But there's pictures on the website of that. Anyway, the summer kitchen, we're turning into an office and a bedroom space where I can hang out. When teams are there, I'll be on there all night. So
Hmm.
we got to get that finished. And then that should be done by the end of this month. And then somewhere in August, we're going to open up for paranormal investigations. Starting off, it'll be every other Friday and Saturday that we're open. Um, we have two price points. One's going to be from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. for more
Okay.
local teams that just don't have to travel. They can just go back home if they want that option for $500 for the night. And that
Hmm.
includes it's a 5,000 square foot house. It's a huge house to investigate. You have almost 3 acres of grounds to investigate as well. There are a couple of outbuildings that are still there too. And like I said, I've already seen things outside. So
Hmm.
you could experience things on the grounds. Um, but that's $500 for the night, and it includes free Wi-Fi if you want to do live streams, videos, whatever. We'll have snacks and drinks available too, coffee, that type of stuff. We'll have a charging station where you can charge all your stuff and have kind of a base where you can leave everything and charge everything up. And the house is yours from 7 to 3. And then if you want to spend the night, from 7 p.m. till 9 a.m. the next morning, and we have beds for you to sleep in. That's $750, and that includes the bed to sleep in. We have modern bathrooms with showers and things that you can take a shower, and we'll provide towels and all that stuff, and kind of just providing everything. The one thing that we're not doing is we're not charging extra if you want to film or if you want to live
Hmm.
stream. Not going to do that. I think
Hmm.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we don't have a video policy. I understand why some places do have a video policy where they want to see the video beforehand.
Hmm.
Places like Ronnie D at Old South Pittsburgh and
Yeah.
Perryman, there are still people living who were born there. Their grandma died there. You don't want people putting out videos
Hmm.
about demons and things.
Yeah.
My house, if somebody puts out something about a demon, it's not really going to hurt the reputation of the night house. It really, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It really, I don't want people doing it. And then my list of rules, the very first thing is it says in the waiver is there's
Hmm.
no demonic or evil activity at this house. We have experienced
Hmm.
none. There are no demons or skinwalkers on the property that I've encountered.
Yeah.
So, but if people want to put that out there, that's their business. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper and say, "Oh, I need to see your video and approve it." I think
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. I don't want people doing that to me.
Well,
Hopefully, people
there's a
will be
lot to
respectful.
it,
Yeah,
because ours is the same way there at the jail. We make people acknowledge no demonic activity,
yeah,
but we don't watch the videos, before they put them
yeah,
out,
yeah.
you know.
Well, that's like the jail. I mean, yeah, you've got some people, with connected to the jail, but I don't think it's going to
Mhm.
cause a big ruckus if somebody puts a YouTube video out. Wanting to
Ours,
lie about that type of stuff. I mean,
yeah, we're in a different situation with the town, being that it's rented from. We rent from the town,
yeah,
so they're very strict on it. So with our code of conduct and mission statement and stuff that we have in our agreement with the town, it's a little bit of a different situation than what
yeah,
Ronnie D has and what you have. We
yeah,
have to. Our goal is, the only reason we're strict on that is because of um, we wouldn't be able to do what we were doing if
yeah,
people started putting out a false narrative on that. So it's kind of
yeah.
a different situation, but it's that's a whole conversation in and of itself with all of
Yeah.
that.
Well,
You
and
know,
I'm gonna have a packet that has names and histories and dates and things,
yeah.
for the whole history of the house to try to curtail that as much as
Hmm.
I can to get the real narrative out there and the real dates and the real names.
Yeah.
But also, I'm I do lots of podcasts and things. I have my own
Mhm.
podcast. I have my own pages with followers. The Night House has almost 1,200 followers already. So
Mhm.
I feel like I have a platform that I can go out there and correct any of that information if it does
Yeah.
come out.
Mhm.
Um, because I think a lot of location owners don't have a platform like we do to
Exactly.
get out here and say, look, that video is crap. That's not
Yeah.
true. So I could see where other owners were kind of, trapped a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it affecting us. If it does,
Yeah.
then I'll implement something like that. But right now I don't, but I would never charge extra for people to film and do live streams. It's free
Yeah.
advertisement. And
Yeah.
why am I going to be jealous because they're going to go make money on YouTube? Well, they're paying me to
Yeah.
be in the house, so I don't think I should
Yeah.
charge them any extra. Now, if you want to come for 4 days and film a TV show, okay, we'll work out a deal for 4 day price. But
Mhm.
as far as charging extra on top of what they're already paying to rent the place out, yeah,
Yeah, and there's a difference in a commercial filming type thing where
yeah,
they need
yeah,
more than the allotted time that you have for an
you're right,
investigation versus, the time that they rent for an investigation on that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and on the website when I put that, I've already got the page done for all the paranormal investigation stuff with all the rules and all that stuff, and all the
mhm.
perks of what you get for
Yeah,
each rental point. Um, I just have it hidden; it's not going live yet. But when it goes live, people can actually see listed out. This is what you get for this price point. What we're including,
mhm,
amenities and things like that. I think I'm going to do a third price point that if people want to rent it out Friday and Saturday at a
mhm,
discounted rate, maybe
mhm,
$1,200 for both nights.
mhm.
Because if you're paying for a hotel and you're in
Yeah,
town, I mean, that may be a cheaper option if you have 8 people, to split it
mhm.
up. And so, depending on what people, just give people options, but also not charge outrageous amounts either. There's some locations that are
Yeah.
just insane, like Brushy Mountain. It's
Oh
just
my gosh.
insane.
Yeah.
$1,700, up front.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean, and what makes that so crazy is the people going with Fair Harbor and these booking companies that charge an extra $200-300
yeah,
on top in fees. It's ridiculous,
yeah, yeah,
because it does make it goes from 1,200 to almost $1,800, and a big part of that is because of the booking company.
yeah. And when I've been twice now. Last November and then a few months ago we went. And we were lucky that we could get 12 people to go because that made it like $145 a piece. But
Yeah,
we still had to go out there and get a hotel room for the night,
yeah,
which is another. If you even stay in the same room with somebody else, you're still $40 a piece, and then you're
yeah,
eating and then your gas and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a $400 or $500 trip on top of the 1750 or whatever you're going to pay for the location. And I understand it's a huge
mhm.
location, but I mean I don't. I think they could go a little cheaper than that. So,
Yeah, yeah,
who am
I
I?
agree.
They can do whatever they want. They own that place. So,
Right. And so, let's see, we've got like I said, we've got the show notes there that's got, the website, got the Facebook page. Folks can go on there and they can follow along with the renovations, follow along with
yeah.
evidence that's captured. And then, of
We
course, you've
also
got your
have
podcast.
sorry.
Oh, go
We
no,
also have merchandise for the Night House. I've got one of our coffee mugs here.
oh,
I
nice.
have two different logos. This is kind of the heavier logo and have a simpler one, but we are for profit. I'm not gonna.
Mhm,
We are for profit, but
mhm.
our focus is to put the money back in the house.
Yeah.
And so I've made all the swag as cheap as I can make it to where we still make a couple of dollars on everything. And I think everything is pretty reasonably priced. But
Mhm.
everything that we make from the swag, the merchandise is going to go right back into paying the bills on the house, fixing the house up. This is not something a get rich quick scheme or
Yeah.
that yeah, that.
Nothing paranormal is.
Yeah. I mean, at least for the next 3 or 4 years, we'll be putting the majority of the money right back into the house. Like I said,
Yeah.
of paying the bills and fixing it. And also, that's one reason why I want to be transparent with people and put the stuff up online where they can see what we're doing. Because,
Mhm,
okay, well, if you go buy 3 T-shirts, okay, well, you see where your money's going.
mhm.
We're repainting the columns this week, like we're planting landscaping, like whatever. So,
Yeah.
but I try to do a bunch of different products for different people and try to make it as, like I said, as cheap as I can, um, without um, with us making a couple bucks per shirt is about all. I think most of it's $1.50 we're making per shirt, but they are really good. It is really good quality. I've ordered a bunch of stuff myself, like I said, the mug here, and I've
Mhm.
I've got shirts, of course, that I wear when I'm up there for
Yeah.
business. But But yeah, if anybody wants any of the merchandise, yeah, all the proceeds go right back into the house.
Now, are you gonna have any merchandise on site, like a gift shop on
Yeah,
site? Okay.
yeah, and we'll have some stuff. I'm getting some stuff made, some keychains and things made that will only be at the house. They won't be on the
Mhm.
website for sale. But yeah, we'll have shirts and hoodies and things that we'll have for sale at the house. On top of the paranormal investigation, we're also going to do at least 2 weekend days a month that we're going to open up to the public for free.
Oh,
So
wow.
you can come and I'll give you a history tour. About every hour, I'll do a history tour of however many people, like maybe 10 people around the
Mhm.
house and the grounds, and give, a 30, 45-minute tour um, around the house so people can see it and things like that too. Because like I've told the town historian and all the town people like the town officials that we've dealt with, we own the house, but the house is not our history. That
Yeah.
belongs to the people of Hopkinsville, and we want to share it. None of the other owners have ever shared the history with or the house with people, and that's what we want it to be. Is a
Mhm.
place that people can come and see their history. So
Mhm.
Damien's one of the ones that they already have. Already let them book it their night.
Nice.
They're gonna do a live podcast, and then they're gonna do a live investigation. And so
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
we'd love to have you, Paul. Yeah. Um, and I hope everybody. I try to make the price points as reasonable as possible too. The house is bigger than it looks in the pictures. I promise you, it is massive. Um,
And
yeah,
Eric has a good tour on his, website
yeah.
there. If you go check that out, you can actually see a walkthrough tour of,
And I did have to cap it at 8 people because yeah, the house is big, but it's not that big, So
Mhm.
I'm capping it at 8 people because I think even at 750, divide that between 8 people, it's right
Yeah.
at $100 each for a place to spend the night and all that. So I think that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
I tell you, I enjoy those. I know, it makes me think of, like, Bel Air House, and, I loved the fact whenever I went and stayed there, that, we were able to take a shower,
Yeah,
we could use the fridge, we could cook if we wanted to. I don't know if she allows cooking now. I think COVID kinda changed, some
yeah.
things there, but she also offered something if you wanted to spend 2 nights, and that was really nice to be able to do that.
Well, if I do the 2 night thing, I think I'll like the Sunday morning I'll like offer catered breakfast or something from like Cracker Barrel,
Mhm.
like
There you
something
go.
like an incentive like that. Like I can't feed you, but I can go buy
Mhm.
prepackaged food, pre-prepared
Yes.
food is just fine to bring in. So
Yeah.
yeah, work out something like that where I'll from one of the local restaurants. There's some awesome local restaurants up there too, but do something
Yeah.
where on Sunday morning you get breakfast. But yeah, just
I
trying to
love
offer
that.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, go ahead too, and like I said, we've got the, website and all that stuff there in the show notes, but go ahead and talk just a little bit about, your podcast and where folks can, find your podcast.
Yeah, so we just started season 5. I put an episode out every Wednesday with a different guest, talking all manners of the paranormal. My forte is ghost, but I've learned so much in 5 seasons. So far, I just had my 165th episode, and that's
Nice.
about with repeat guests. It's over 150 guests, different guests I've had. Yeah, the show is available anywhere you get podcasts or music, including Hey Tales Untold, including on YouTube. And I don't do video like you do. It's just strictly audio. But you can. A lot of people turn it on
Mhm.
YouTube because they can be looking at other things or at work or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I do get quite a few views on YouTube. But yeah, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, all those places. I'm a prime podcast for iHeartRadio for Spreaker. So you may
Yes.
see it. You may see it advertised on iHeartRadio on their website, on their app. But I do have a website. I need to go update it. It does update it does update itself with the actual episodes. I just haven't added much else there. But yeah, the podcast is going great. I'm having a blast doing it. It's awesome to talk to all these different people about different subjects and deep dive. And I've got some awesome guests coming up that I'm really excited about. It's crazy because
Nice.
I think that I've hit the peak of like guests at
Yes.
some point in the middle of the season, the beginning of the season, and then I keep finding these other guests, or I'll have like I've got really lucky because the podcast has grown big enough that I'll have publishers reach out to me now,
Mhm.
and I've about flipped out because I had Harper Collins reach out to me with a book,
Oh, nice.
and I can't say what book and I can't say who it is because it doesn't come out till October 1st. but they've already sent me a copy of the book, and the book doesn't come out until October. So I'm like, oh my God, like it's one of the perks of like, dealing with publishers and stuff. And so, but
Yeah.
HarperCollins is a huge publisher. It's for them to, pick my little show and say, oh, I have some sort of influence in this community. It's pretty awesome
Mhm.
for the
Yeah.
publicist to email me out of nowhere. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited for that, guest, extremely excited. But and I always pre-record, so I've got a few in the bank that I'm excited to put out. But I try to mix and match shows too. I don't like to have like all ghost shows in a row.
Yes.
You know how it is picking guests. You
Mhm.
want to kind of mix them up. So I like to throw Bigfoot in there or Dogman and different
Yeah.
topics, so it's not the same thing all the time. But yeah, the show is great. It's still in the top 2% in the world, which is amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, so going very, very well.
Well, glad to hear that. And again, I mean, I can't recommend it enough because
Thank you.
it is, if you're looking for content and looking for new authors to add to your bookshelf and your collection, and looking for new again, it's just a wide variety. If you're
Yeah,
looking for, you've got it,
yeah,
and so I definitely recommend people go check out. And if they scroll through the playlists and stuff, they're definitely going to find something that piques their interest, and probably find a new content creator to follow, which that's what I absolutely love. And the folks that watch this show are just so supportive, and such a great group that
yeah,
I love recommending content because they go and check it out. So
yeah. And I started here last week. Once you get so many episodes onto the host who hosts Spreaker,
mhm.
hosts they're owned by iHeartRadio, but they host my podcast. Well, they cap theirs at like 150 episodes, so the original episodes start dropping off. So they're not online
Oh,
anymore, except for YouTube. They're not on
okay.
any music app. So I'm starting twice a month. Every other Thursday, I'm gonna do Throwback Thursday, where I put
Nice.
old episode up. So last week on Thursday, I put up the very first episode, which was weird for me to go back and listen to. But it's awesome because I don't have to edit or anything. Like I just have to
Right.
put it there. But it was
Free
very weird
content,
for me to,
really.
yeah. But it was very weird for me to go back and listen to how far I've come in 165 shows. From that
Yeah.
very first one of like I didn't really do my research as well as I thought I did. I was very like timid and like it's crazy how I'm just so comfortable now, like jumping on here with you. I don't get nervous, like and I've got two other shows I just did recorded yesterday as a guest, and like yeah, it's just crazy. And also like me and you met early on when you started in the
Yeah.
podcast stuff as well, and before y'all even owned the
Mhm.
jail,
Yeah.
and to see how far we've all come since then, and Dr. Chris as well, and we've all known each other for quite a few years now. So just
Yeah.
seeing everybody, it's kind of cool to all of us like coming up together and helping each other is pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, but yeah, definitely thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that. I can't
Yeah,
wait to get up that way and check out the Night House. I know you've come and investigated the jail,
yeah,
and got some pretty cool stuff, and you've always been so supportive of us and what we're doing. And so I can't thank you enough for that. That it really means a lot. And
yeah. You're
so
very welcome. Y'all are very deserving, and y'all are two of my favorite people in the paranormal. And I'm glad to call y'all friends. And you and Dr. Chris are just amazing people. And it's good because there's so much drama in a lot of the paranormal. It's just nice
yeah.
to have friends in the paranormal world that we none of us do drama, and it's just nice to have good people. And y'all are doing awesome
Absolutely.
things, and I'm a fan of what y'all do with the jail
Thank you.
and with your show here, and I'm a fan of what type of investigators y'all are as well. Y'all are amazing investigators, and so
Well, thank you.
I
That
respect y'all on that aspect as well.
that means a lot. Anything else really big coming up, that any shows or anything that you want to put out there?
Yeah, on August 17th, I will be guest investigator at the Bell Witch Cave with Black Wolf Paranormal,
Oh,
with Lena and
nice.
Todd, who are awesome. The
Yes.
SQs are awesome. Yeah, me and Lee from Medics for Paranormal, and Regina from PPF Investigations, the three of us. You can come hang out with us in our group, or there will be uh, Todd and Leanne. You can investigate with them, but we'll rotate to three different locations. You have the cave, the cabin, and then the burial mounds of the Native Americans, which are above the caves. So we'll be there as guest investigators, and tickets are on sale now through Eventbrite. But the link is
Okay.
on The link is on my Facebook page, Eric Freeman Sims. It's also on the Unseen Paranormal Podcast page, and also you can find it on Black Wolf Paranormal's page and on the Bell Witch Caves Facebook page.
Okay.
And look, I'm just going to say, I'm not criticizing. I'm just going to tell you the tickets are a little expensive, but it's the location that sets that price. It's not Black Wolf Paranormal. Black Wolf Paranormal hosts all those investigations once a month. Excuse me. And that's the biggest complaint they give is the ticket price. But I think it'd be worth it. And we don't make a dime. We're just volunteers to go have a good time up there. I've been to the Bell Witch Cave and investigated it, but I've never investigated it. I've been there plenty of times, of course, growing up in Middle Tennessee on field trips and things, but never investigated it. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That'll be really cool. We had the Black Wolf Paranormal on the Jailhouse Informant. I guess it was last month when we had them on, and they went and because like you, that's a story that I grew up with, hearing about that every Halloween. Our librarian always shared that with us. And I mean, you can't pick up a Tennessee folklore book that doesn't have the story about the Bell Witch in it, whether it's a little bit embellished or the accurate, history. You can't get past it here in this area. And they do a really great job. I'm glad to hear that they're allowing the public investigations and stuff there. As I know for a while they weren't doing it.
Yeah, the odd thing is too with the paranormal world, I've become friends with Pat Fitzhugh, who is probably the expert on the legend itself. He's been, he's written like 4 books, and he's researched it for the past like 40 years, and become friends with him. So to pick his brain about the Bell Witch is pretty cool because he knows every in and out of that legend, and it's pretty cool to talk. He's been on my show talking about it, but also he's been to a couple of expos that I've put on, and I'm actually probably going to have him at the Night House at some point in time to come up, sign books, and do like a presentation up in the parlor, and just do maybe $10 tickets and sell like 20 tickets for people to come and see him and grab a book or whatever.
Nice.
But that's the type of stuff I want to do as well at the house. Is not just paranormal stuff, but paranormal stuff as long as that, but other book signings and historians and things like that.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely got the connections for it, and now having the perfect venue for it is going to just be fantastic. Yeah. So, well, thank you again. And, thank you folks so much that joined us tonight with your questions and your comments. Definitely go check Eric's pages out, give him a follow, give him a like, and, subscribe to the podcast. You'll be glad you did. And go check him out there at the Night House as it's, once they get the investigations and stuff rolling. So, we will be back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, as well as 7 p.m. Eastern on the Jailhouse Informant podcast. We're working on season 7, hoping to make some pretty cool announcements about that coming up here very soon, because that'll be here very quick. I can't believe we're already here, almost the end of July,
I know.
But yeah, all that's going to be coming up. Are you doing very many events this year other than like, I know we saw each other last year at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. I've not been doing as many events this year.
With buying the house, and like I said, we started looking in February at the beginning. So I haven't scheduled anything. There's a couple of things I want to do toward the end of the year. It's toward spooky season, but there's a lot of things I would like to do at the Night House this year too, in October for spooky season. Maybe do some candlelight tours, things like kind of like what y'all do at the jail. Kind of do that for the general public who doesn't want to necessarily investigate, but wants to hear the ghost stories and things like that. Some things like that around the property as well. And then maybe do a big trick or treater thing,
Nice.
And probably next year, I think I want to hit the con circuit, like I did last year in the past few years, with the Night House and with the podcast, and hopefully I'll get my book done. I'll have it's on hold with the Night House. It's getting there, but it's on hold with the Night House stuff. So
I totally feel you on that. This year, I kind of I really stepped back on the events It's just one, it doesn't seem like conventions are doing as well this
Yeah.
year as they have in years past. And then two, I just who knows where the time goes. We're expanding at the jail, and today we just got our internet service and wireless and all that hooked up in the new bank building, and so we're in the process. Probably this weekend, we're hoping to be officially moved into the bank building this
Yeah.
coming week. So, just with all of that, it's just
Yeah.
the time flies, and yeah, we've just not been the convention circuit's just not been something that we've really focused on as much this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I've been. It just also I kind of I did it, like 3 years in a row. Hit them like 6 or
Hmm.
7 in a year,
Yeah,
and you just get tired of doing them too. It's
yeah,
it's just
no doubt.
yeah, yeah,
It sounds fun, and it's great to go and see people and meet people, but
yeah,
it's a lot
yeah.
of work.
Yeah, yeah, and by the end of the day, you're just like, I can't shake any more hands. Like, I just
Yeah.
can't meet any more people. My voice is, I'm going hoarse, because I talk to so many people. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's fun, but yeah, it's exhausting for
Yeah,
sure.
we're gonna focus more on the local festivals and stuff coming
Yeah,
up here in the fall. And we've
yeah,
already got several of those booked that we're doing primarily for the with the jail, but then I think we'll hit it kind of hard next year. So kind of take that little breather, get, a refresher with everything going on and hit it hard next year.
yeah. And I'd like to do local stuff in Hopkinsville too, see what they have to offer, because they do
Mhm.
all kinds of little festivals and things throughout the year, and
Mhm.
kind of make sure that we're part of the community up there as well.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
And so that that your priorities change a little bit when you buy a location like this. Y'all know how
Yeah.
it is. I mean, you go from
Yeah.
investigating all the time and stuff. Now you have a more of a purpose, I guess, than just going out and investigating all willy nilly. Now you've got a place to do your own research and all that. So
Yeah.
I don't know where willy nilly came from, but that's just what my brain says.
Well, and it does change things because I had somebody ask me not too long ago about, do I enjoy investigating as much? And I do. I absolutely do enjoy it, but we're immersed in it
Yeah,
every single day, and
yeah,
things are happening day in, day out, whether it's nighttime or daytime. And the main thing I can say is it's really changed the way I investigate because um, I've always had a deep appreciation for the history and for the location owner themselves. But you're, once you're maintaining that location and everything, it really does change the way you investigate.
yeah, yeah,
And just the kind of one night investigations, because we're in it and doing the
hmm,
research and comparing and doing all this day in and day out, the one nighters are kind of a challenging thing sometimes
yeah.
because you're not in it to really be able to follow up on your evidence.
Well, I already find myself being like, I want to be at the night house investigating, because of
Mhm.
the experiences I have when I'm there during the day, and the experience
Yeah.
that I've had at night when I've been there. Like, I want to be there more, um, and connect with those spirits in a different way than,
Yeah.
like you're saying, than you can in one night or 2 nights at a place.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that we're doing, we're doing a weekend at Thomas House, a Friday and Saturday night at Thomas House,
Okay.
October 30th and September 1st. It's the last weekend in October, last Friday and Saturday, and
Okay.
in August, not October, August. Tickets are $100 a person. You get dinner, buffet style dinner that night. We ghost hunt all night. You go to bed whenever you want. You get your own room, and the next morning you get breakfast before you check out. Buffet style breakfast. So
Nice.
$100 a person is well worth it. But yeah, me and Lee and
Yeah.
Regina, Medics for Paranormal and PBF Investigations, will be running that. Yeah, I believe it's August 30th and September 1st, Friday
Okay.
and Saturday.
Wonderful.
And you
And
can
so
pick
folks
which night you want
can
to come.
okay. And folks can see these events if they go to your
Mhm.
Facebook page,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that's and if you haven't been to Thomas House, it's a bed and breakfast, a big bed and breakfast in Red Bull Springs, and the spirits know us. We've been there so many times.
So
And
active.
it is, and I think
Yeah,
it's more active because they know us. They're used
probably.
to us now. I mean, I've probably done seriously 10 weekends up there, Friday and Saturday. Just
Wow.
like come in Friday and leave on Sunday. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
past 3 or 4 years. Yeah, but
Wow.
we don't hardly make any money off that. Most of that money goes to we make like gas money each for that whole weekend. That's
Yeah.
about all. The rest of it goes to help them keep their doors open because that family is amazing. We love them. They're
Yeah.
great people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to take any more of your time because I know, like I said, you're really busy and everything. So, but again, thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that. And again, thank you all there in the audience. And we will see everyone hopefully next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So,
Yeah.
take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Miranda.
Mhm.